Kaylë Brightwell, STA's Director of Education, and I'm here to talk to you about the importance of water safety. So why is water safety so important? The most important thing is to keep yourself, friends and family safe. By understanding the dangers of water, we can make sure you can prevent accidents and try and keep your friends and family as safe as possible, and yourself. Because by knowing the dangers and knowing how to help, we can make sure that you can enjoy the water safely. So we can make sure you have a safe way to enjoy water. So what is water safety? Well, water safety is how we keep ourselves and others safe in and around water to prevent an accident from happening. Water can look very tempting in the summer, but it can be extremely dangerous as we never know the hidden dangers, such as cold and deep water, weeds, muds, plant life, hidden objects below the water surface, especially if it's all murky and you can't see the bottom. And when we're at the sea, things like currents and tides can make it really dangerous if we don't know how to keep ourselves safe. So water safety is really important. By knowing about these dangers, we can make sure we stay safe and enjoy the water. This is Stanley. He is the STA's water safety mascot, and he has a few safety codes and tips and tricks to make sure that you try and stay safe and try and help you remember the water safety code. So first is spot the dangers. We're going to look at this in a little bit, and learning how to spot the dangers, make sure that you can see what not to do and how to keep yourself safe. Take safety advice. There are lots of rules when you go swimming, whether that's at a pool or whether that's by the beach. There are often advice signs that are about, and these are really important. I know sometimes it can look like we're telling you what not to do, but ultimately it's to keep you safe. That's the most important thing. So look at the advice, look at the signs and understand how to swim safely. Don't go alone. We should never swim by ourselves and we should never enter water by ourselves. We should always have a grown-up adult with us. We should always make sure that somebody knows where we are and where we're going and stay within that area. It's really important that we're always watched. Sometimes we might go into a swimming pool, but there's a lifeguard watching us, so we're not alone. Or there's another adult present. And the same when we go to a beach, making sure we swim within a lifeguarded area to make sure that someone always knows where we are. And learning how to help safely. We must never put ourselves into danger. So making sure we know how to help and can support someone that has fallen in or maybe had an accident is really important. That's not to say that we get in the water ourselves and put ourselves in danger, but actually it could be going to run and get a grown-up, phoning 999 to get someone to help us more. The other thing we need to look at is about learning how to help if we do fall into water. Sometimes accidents do happen, and knowing water safety skills and knowing how to swim is essential for making sure that you can potentially save your life. Something as simple as knowing how to float. It's something you must do in your swimming lessons all the time. You make a big star shape in the water and float on your back. That is a water safety skill. It's called float to live, so that if you are in trouble, you roll onto your back, lie on your back in the water so your eyes are looking at the sky, make yourself into a big star shape as wide as you can and float. That's going to allow you to breathe, take some nice breaths in, and actually hopefully someone will then see you in the water and come and rescue you. So it's really important that we know how to spot the dangers to stay safe. We take safety advice so that we don't get into trouble. We don't go alone, so someone's always watching us. And then we know how to help and get further help if someone does need help, but also we need to know how to stay safe ourselves. Our water safety mascot Stanley, he said about spot the dangers. Can you spot the dangers? So look at this picture. There are lots of people by a river, lots of people doing lots of different things. But which ones are dangerous? Have a look. Have a chat with your friends. What do you think is dangerous? Can you spot the dangers? And how many can you see? So let's have a look. Did you spot them all? So the first one we can see is the rope swing. A rope swing can be great fun, but not when it goes into water. As you can see, the rope wasn't very secure and it snapped. And what's going to happen is that person is going to fall into the water. But not only is he going to fall into the water, he's likely to fall on the canoer that can cause an injury. Imagine if someone fell on top of you from that height, it's going to hurt. And that's going to cause the canoer harm as well. So whenever we do anything, we always have to make sure that we check that whatever we're doing, there is a clear space. So if we're jumping into the pool, there's a clear space that we're jumping into. Did you spot the ball? Yes? So it's not necessarily the ball that's probably the problem. The issue is the boy running behind. Often young children will chase after a ball, and this happens in the road as well, so we have to be really careful. If we kick a ball and it goes somewhere, we have to be really mindful of our surroundings. So that little boy is running really, really fast and he's heading right towards the river. Is he going to stop in time? Who knows? So that's why it's a potential danger. He could run and fall straight in. Next, we have a little boy who seems to be struggling in the water. Luckily, someone has reached out a stick and trying to grab them. But is that stick long enough? And also, the scout that's there who's trying to help, he'd be better if he was lying on the ground, because as soon as that boy grabs onto that stick, he could pull the scout into the pool and the river, and we don't want that. So it's really important that when learning to help and doing what's called a reach rescue, that we lie flat on the ground so that we're as low as possible. So he's lying on the floor, and then hopefully he can help that person and pull them in. Next, we have a person on the bank on their phone. They've got their back to the river, they're on their phone, they're unable to see what's going on and unable to make sure everybody's okay. So a rock behind him. So if he takes a step backwards, does he realise how close he is to the river? So if there's ever a water about, we need to be looking and making sure we can see what's going on and paying attention to what's happening. Did you spot this boy? He looks like he's about to land on some sharp rocks, which is not going to be nice. He's also in his swim shorts, so that's his skin that's going to get hurt as he kind of falls into the rocks. If we ever enter water, we need to make sure there's a safe entry route and also a safe exit route. How's he going to get back up if that mud and that bank along the river is really slippy? It's why we shouldn't go into open water and rivers just because we feel like it. We have to make sure we check. We don't know what objects are underneath the water as well. So we always try and climb in water safely. We never jump. Imagine if there's a shopping trolley underneath and he jumps onto it. He could really hurt his legs. The next one is this person struggling. We have another swimmer. She looks like she's struggling a little bit in the water. Her arms are above her head. She could be shouting for help. Thankfully, can you see someone's trying to throw her a ball? So a member of the scout team is trying to throw a ball to her. Hopefully she'll catch it because this will act as a flotation aid. She can hold on to the ball, pull it nice and close to her chest and swim closer to the bank. And that person on the side, once they've thrown the ball, can be really encouraging her, telling her to hold on, kick her legs, keep swimming, keep your head above the water. Did you spot this one? There is a no danger, no swimming sign. Does that mean any of these people should be swimming? Think about what Stanley said earlier with his take safety advice. If there's a sign up saying danger, no swimming, you most certainly should not be swimming. Not only are the things in there, also sometimes there could be a section of a river that's no swimming because actually the water in the river isn't very clean. It might be muddy, it might have fish in, it might have other river creatures in there and habitats that they don't want disturbing. So it's really important that we do take safety advice. Other than the canoeists in there shouldn't be anybody in the river. There's also, on top of the sign, is a boy about to jump in or dive in from the sign into the river. Again, you can't see how deep that river is. It could be really shallow and that could really cause him an injury Or, as we said a minute ago, there could be rocks, a shopping trolley, anything in there. We must never dive in to water where we can't see the depth, especially if there's a no swimming sign. We shouldn't be in there at all. So number 8, after being told to stay away from the edge, this little girl is a bit too close and it looks like she's about to fall in. Will this cause an issue if she can't swim? You're right, it will. If she can't swim when she's playing by the reeds, you don't know how hard that footing is underneath her. It could be that it's really muddy. So as soon as she stands by the edge, she's going to lose her foot and it will slide down the embankment and she could fall in. It could be that she's trying to hold on to the reeds and she falls in anyway, which, 1, the water could be really cold, which is not going to be good. And 2, she's also in a lot of clothes. And when clothes get wet, they get really heavy, especially shoes. They fill with water and they become so heavy it can make it really hard to even stand up, let alone swim. So when we're by water, we need to make sure we stand away from the edge. We shouldn't stand right on the edge because it can go slippy, it can break, and we don't want to fall in. And then finally, this one might have been a bit tough to spot. Can you see that little circle there? Can you see what's in the circle? It's rubbish. It's rubbish near the plants. Sometimes in open water, such as a river or a lake, you may encounter litter and other things. Always be careful. This causes problems for the wildlife that's around the rivers, but also if you fall or an incident happens, you can hurt yourself on it. So we always need to make sure we pick up our rubbish and never leave it behind. Did you spot them all? Well done. There were some really tricky ones there, and hopefully by now you can spot the dangers. You can make sure you keep yourself safe. So that was dangers outside in the open water. What about dangers at home? You might think that when you're at home, everything is safe. However, sometimes there are things that can, what we call potential dangers. So if you don't look after yourself or make sure things are done, they can cause a danger at home as well. And remember what we said at the start, it's about keeping you safe and your family and friends safe. So what dangers at home might we have? Oh, one thing you need to know is children can drown in as little as 5 centimetres of water. That's not very much. So making sure anything that contains water is emptied after use is very, very important. Such as washing machines, fish ponds, water butts, so they're the big containers that carry a lot of water, paddling pools, baths and buckets. So, can you match these household hazards to the action you would take to make them safe? As you can see, where there's a picture, there's a little information slide underneath. Can you match it to the right picture? Let's see how many you got right. So, the washing machine. What did we say for the washing machine? Well, you should make sure doors are kept shut at all times. Even when they're not in use, shut the door and then nothing can get in. Fish ponds. Now, you can put a small fence around a fish pond and cover with mesh to prevent people getting close, which will decrease the risk of someone falling in. So it could be that there's a guard that goes across them or a little fence that goes around the edge. Water butts should be covered with a secure lid to remove any exposure of water. What we don't want is anybody climbing up to have a look in and fall in. So they must be closed at the very top so that people cannot get in. And what about paddling pools? Love having paddling pools out in the summer, but children should never be left alone. We should always make sure that they're supervised at all times. When everybody has finished with the paddling pool, it needs to be emptied and moved away. Water shouldn't be left in. Not only can it cause a risk, if you leave paddling pool water in for a couple of days, you'll realise it starts to smell a little bit and it goes a bit of a yucky colour. And if you're anything like my kids, they're in and out of the paddling pool, so grass goes in it, then there's insects in it, and that's not very clean. So once you finish using it, at the end of the day, it all needs to be put out. But most importantly, never go in a paddling pool without a grown-up being with you. What about baths? I hope you all have baths or showers and make sure you stay clean. And they're great fun. But same with a paddling pool. You shouldn't bath alone. You should make sure a grown-up's nearby and make sure you're safe. So baths are great because you can improve your confidence, you can splash, you can have lots of fun, and it's a nice introduction to water. But we need to make sure once we finish our bath, we empty it out. Don't leave water in there. Remove the plug and empty it out after use. But not least, buckets. Buckets are great. You can water the plants. There's lots you can do. But again, sometimes with big buckets, they can fill with water. And then stale water sits in there and goes a bit yucky. But also, remember what we said about children drowning in 5 centimetres of water. It's not a lot. So we need to make sure that they're emptied after use and stored away, turned upside down so even rainwater can't get in. So later on, you can always go back home and check that all your water areas are safe as well. Safe at home. How do we stay safe at the beach? The beach is a brilliant place. There's waves, there's sands, there's sandcastles, and we can have so much fun. But in order to stay safe, we need to remember to follow the rules. When at the beach, only swim where there is a lifeguard present and between the flags. The flags show the water to make sure that the water's safe in that area or that there's a lifeguard present in that area as well. So if there's flags out, please listen to them and listen to the lifeguard. Make sure you stay safe. We're going to look at the kind of beach flags in a little bit later. Make sure you use buoyancy aids or flotation devices where appropriate to stay safe on the water. And always be careful when using inflatables. They're great fun, but the wind can sweep inflatables away. So if you're on it, the wind and the waves can push them further and further out to sea. So it's really important that, again, we have our grown-up with us to stay safe. We make sure we supervise young children at all times. And just because the sun's out and it feels really warm, and you might be really hot when you're on the beach and you've got your suntan lotion on, your sunglasses, your hat, the water can still be cold. You think of how big the ocean is. There's so much sea. It takes a long time to heat up. So just because you're hot, that water can still be cold. So be careful. Wear a wetsuit if needed, and possibly swim with your hat on to keep your head warmer. Brightly coloured hats will help with lifeguard visibility as well. So if you've got a bright orange hat, the lifeguard is going to be able to see you easier. Another thing we need to be mindful of at the beach are some things called rip currents. Rip currents are strong currents of water that pull swimmers away from the shore. This again is where those beach flags are really important. If we have our beach flags, we know that that's a safer area to swim in and that the lifeguards are going to be watching. How can you identify a rip current? Well, they're a channel of flat, darker water surrounded by choppy water that's churning. So what can you do? If you enter a rip current, what do you need to know? The most important thing is do not panic. Try and stay calm. Call for help. Raise one arm above your head to get someone's attention. If you can stand up, wade, don't swim. If you can't stand up, swim parallel to the shore. Don't try to swim against it. It's going to try and push you out. So what you want to do is try and swim along the shoreline and try and get out of the rip. When free, then swim back to shore. Shout for help. It's really important, and try and stay calm. It's Stanley again. He's not listened to his own safety advice, and now he's been caught in a rip current. He can't stand, but he's raised one of his fins in the air to get the lifeguard's attention. Can you remember what he should do next? Should he swim back to where the beach is? No. He wants to swim to the shore, so parallel to the shore. So as you can see, he's swimming along the shoreline, and then it's taking him out of that rip water. If you can see where that dark water is, and it's all higgledy-piggledy, Stanley's managed to swim out of it. So he swam to the side, and that's what he needs to do. Good job, Stanley. So we spoke about those beach flags and making sure we listen to them. But what do the beach flags mean? A red beach flag? Danger. Red is a classic sign for danger. If a red flag's out, don't swim. Red and yellow. This means a lifeguard's on duty. It's a really good flag to see. So always swim between these flags. There'll be one at one point and one at the other end. And in between those flags you can swim and a lifeguard will be watching. What does a black and white flag mean? At the beach, you normally see them on racetracks. This one's a little bit different. This one is safe for boats and watercrafts only, so don't swim. There might be a section of the beach or a harbour that shows those flags. It's not a swim area. Purple flags. This means dangerous marine life has been spotted. Sharks, jellyfish. So don't go swimming in these areas. You need to be careful. An orange wingstop flag is like a big sock. It's a big kind of cone, and so when the wind blows it fills up. And this shows you the direction of the wind. Offshore winds can sweep you out to sea and make it difficult to return. So it's a good idea to have a look and see how windy it is at the beach. And this again will depend on whether there's a red flag to say no swimming or if the lifeguards are present as well. The green flag means the water's calm. This doesn't make the water safe. You still need to be careful and swim where a lifeguard is present, but hopefully it means the water's a little bit calmer. How do we stay safe near the water? What can we do to make sure that we all stay safe and our friends stay safe and our families? Mark footpaths. Don't go wandering about or off anywhere, and don't go near the edge of cliffs. We need to be really careful after rainfall, as surfaces can be really slippy, and also they can get a bit muddy and sometimes loose. Ensure you pay attention to high tides and the weather. Never go out walking by yourself, always go with an adult. So what do we need to remember with rivers, lakes and quarries? As these are the types of open water, and any type of open water can be very dangerous. There's normally a small amount of rescue equipment available to hand within rivers, lakes and quarries. These can be deep and the water can be really cold, no matter how hot it is. Even if it's the hottest day of the year, water in rivers, lakes and quarries can still be cold because of how deep it is, and that can cause a problem. So always try and spot the dangers. If you get to a quarry or a lake or a river, have a look. What are the dangers? Sometimes the water itself can be a danger. If it's a hot day and you want to cool off, that can be a danger. Take the safety advice. If the sign's up that says, please do not swim, no swimming, dangerous, deep water, listen to it. Go alone. If you're going out and about near water, take a friend, family member, and make sure those family members know where you are as well and what time you'll be back. And know what to do in an emergency. That's really important. We need to make sure that we know where is our nearest phone. Do we have a mobile phone to hand? Is there another grown-up about that we could borrow their phone to phone 999 or 112? Is there any rescue equipment? Is there a further grown-up we can go and help and ask for further help? So let's think back to Stanley's chant and the things that we've learned. Remember, never go into a swimming pool if there's no lifeguard. Always listen to the lifeguard. They're there to keep you safe. They're not there to ruin your fun. They're there to keep you safe. So listen, swimming pools can be dangerous. Always look at the safety signs and follow them. Always play safe in the swimming pool as well. There are lots of fun games you can play in a pool. They just have to follow the rules. And what do we do in an emergency? I think we do. We've done some of the things already, but have a little chat to your friends right now. What would you do in an emergency? What are some things you could do straight away? If there was an incident or an accident near the water, what would you do? I hope you had a good chat. Or what to do in an emergency, obviously. But what did you think? What were some of the top tips that you said you would do in an emergency? Let's look what we've got. Keep calm. You have to keep calm and get sorted. There's no point panicking and running around screaming. You need to keep calm so that we can carry on with the rest of the things that we need to do. Take a big breath and let's get help. Shout. Help! Can someone help me, please? Is there anybody else that you're with? Is it you and a friend together? Can they go and get help? Well, you stay, but you need to get further help. Phone 999 or 112. Never go into the water. You need to stay safe and raise the alarm. Even if someone's in trouble, there's no point you going in and you getting into trouble as well, because then we've got two people in trouble. One person in trouble and you get help. You can ask them to kick their legs. Keep your head up. Swim closer, but don't get into the water. You need to keep yourself safe. Think back to the very start when we said water safety is about keeping you safe as well as your friends and other people. I hope you've enjoyed this water safety presentation. Remember, swimming is brilliant and learning to swim creates so many opportunities, but we have to remember to love the water safely. That's really important. Thanks.